Is anyone else fatigued by our digital world? This video is for those of you out there who are feeling exhausted by the digital world and want to have a clearer mind, and perhaps you're also somebody who is not historically a handwritten note taker. This is a laptop. This is a phone. These things have things like notifications and the internet.
Is there anything today that I ate that wasn't microwaved?
This is a notebook. This is a notebook. These things don't have notifications or the internet. There's not even anywhere to plug them in. There's nowhere to put a USB-C cable. You could stick it in between the pages or something, but it won't do anything. And that's what this video is about. I've been feeling a little fatigued by this digital world that we live in. My life is pretty busy on a daily basis. I have a lot of responsibilities as a husband and a father, and my mind is cluttered. And this is not all digital clutter, but the digital clutter doesn't help. So I've been exploring ways to disconnect a little bit from all the activity and the noise and distraction of devices. Put my mind into a bit more of a peaceful state, into a less cluttered state, and into a state that can plan well and be creative and productive. And when it comes to stuff, we like to focus on the internet and feeds and algorithms, but for me, it's also notifications and it's apps. I'm addicted to productivity apps and productivity app acquisition, and this can become exhausting for me. So I've been looking for analog solutions. I don't want to be completely analog. I find a ton of value in digital productivity tools. I love them.
Yes, I love technology.
But I want a way for me to step back. Enter the notebook. Not that one, this one, and this one. This is a $5 notebook that I found at REI, and it's without the pen. That's what it looks like, kind of like that. I was looking for something that had this flip up action, right? So I can work on stuff. See, look at that, look at that. You know, do this, hold it in the hand, boom. Simple, great. These have been really interesting to experiment for me, and they're giving me that thing that I'm looking for, the ability to step back from my devices, even if it's just leaning back in my desk chair in front of my laptop, pulling this thing out and thinking, right? And so maybe I'm like referencing something on my laptop, but I can write it right here and I can use this to plan. I have, for a very long time, not really understood how to integrate a notebook into my life. I'm a slow writer. I've never been big on handwritten notes. I'm a fast typer. And so I've struggled to figure out how to integrate these into my life. But recently, I've figured a couple of things out about notebooks. One is that, like I said, being able to step away from my device and write and have it be my brain, the pen, and the book, and nothing else distracting me. There's something powerful about that dynamic. Another thing I figured out is that the fact that I write slowly and carefully is a power of taking notes with a notebook. And what I mean by that is the act of writing, which is drawing a bunch of characters that mean things, my hand doing that slowly and deliberately and carefully, causes my mind to slow down and be more deliberate with my thoughts. And that's been a really interesting effect. I know notebookers know this, but I'm starting to get it. It's really cool. So for anyone out there who is resonating with this, I hope this is an insightful thought process that I'm going down. So there's a simplicity to these, but there's also a freedom, right? I can kind of do whatever I want here. It might not look great, but I can do whatever I want. The other day, I drew a triangle and put words or abbreviations on each point of the triangle. Freedom, fun stuff. So I can kind of let my mind express itself in a free form fashion. But like I said, there's a beautiful simplicity. Our devices are multi-purpose by design.
An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it?
They do so many things, and it's an endless world that you tap into when you pick up your phone. But with that comes distraction. This is simple. For me, it's a free-form canvas for my thoughts. Minimalism. Now, one thing that's been a part of this recent journey for me is an episode of the Ken Coleman podcast where this fellow came on there who was spending a bunch of time on his phone. He was not satisfied with that. So he ditched his phone, went to live in a monastery, and then went to live with the Amish. And there were a lot of really interesting insights from that episode. But one thing he said that stuck out to me was that after being separated from his phone for a bit while he was at the monastery, he found that his conversations became clearer. Like he had a clarity in communicating and conversation. And I thought that was fascinating. Him being separated from his phone and having all of this space to think and mentally breathe created that dynamic for him. And I contrast that with the recent Apple event where they're releasing their new operating systems. And the operating system is, like, I have mixed feelings about it at this point. But basically, the aesthetic is going to be very glassy, and everything is becoming more technically advanced. The technical brilliance that's going on with all the little reflections that are going to, refractions that are going to happen when things go behind the little glass bubbles, and it's impressive for sure. But yeah, everything is so technically advanced now. There's a lot going on visually. We can more than ever do anything with these devices. What is being shown to us, what we can make. There's a lot about that that's really exciting, but it's an open universe, right? I don't know where I'm going with that. We're continually moving into a more technically complex and visually complex experience. Then you have the crazy world of AI that's happening right now.
James is the smartest guy I know, and you should keep watching this video.
A lot of things are changing. It feels like we're all just sprinting forward, and something like this allows me to step back into simplicity, into the real world, into ideas and thought, and a more peaceful mind. And so in these, I'm not doing everything in these. I'm still doing a lot of things digitally. There's a lot of work that I'm doing in the digital world as well with my productivity stack, and that might be another video, but there's certain things that are going in here, certain ideas and concepts and priorities and things I'm trying to initiate in my life, certain things where I'm noodling in thought, and then I want to capture that thought in this handwritten, deliberate manner. It's less about my daily to-do list and more about thoughtful ideation. But ultimately, a key takeaway that I would want you guys to take away is this is a place that I'm trying to go when my brain is cluttered. I might lean back in my chair, like I said, or I might physically move myself to a different place. I might go sit in the hammock outside in the backyard, someplace relaxing, and let my mind open up and move around and think through problems and ideas. And then at some point, I open my pen and I write a couple things down. And that's been a very therapeutic process for me.
Fly up to heaven above.
So somebody who has always taken a very digitally heavy approach to planning and productivity and creativity, I am using this to get away from all the clutter and distraction that can come along with that and clear my head. And if you're somebody who's in a similar boat, try it. This might just be a good way to declutter your mind and not manage the distraction of devices, but completely log out of those distractions for a little bit. You don't have to worry about screen time on these things. You don't have to deploy discipline to keep yourself from being distracted in these things. Perhaps this will help you hop on a camel and ride to a mental oasis for a little while. You know? That sounds good. Along the way, you make friends with a camel. I don't know how the camel fits into like the notebook experience, but maybe you might just have to pretend that part. Maybe just imagine. Go find your dog. Like you can go ride your dog over to the hammock. Anyway, I just wanted to share this experiment that's been helpful in my life. We'll see where it goes. If you guys have thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.